Yes, so Manchester United have all but secured Champions League football for next season. And I think the performance against Brentford, whichever way you look at it, there were some smart decisions from Carey. Carey did not go attacking Brentford or trying to press them in their own half and dominate the game. Instead, he chose to lay traps for Brentford, especially pressing traps. And Brentford fell for it. And I think that is where United actually got them. If United had gone pressing in this game, I think it's the kind of game that Brentford would have wanted. But what United did basically was this. During their build-up, and even when they won the ball high upfield, they came back to draw Brentford out. And then they would usually go into this shape where you had basically 6 players involved in this build-up. And if you count the goalkeeper, you had 7 players involved in the build-up. While Dalo, Sesko, and Mbeumo basically remained high up to occupy Brentford's back line. And then what happened was Brentford, of course, were more than often drawn into a press, into that 4-4-2 press. But like we always mentioned, things fall into this trap. I've mentioned it before, where they do not want a centre back to step up into midfield. They would rather keep 2 players on the striker here, which is exactly what Brentford did. They didn't want to commit that. I will show you a clip of it happening just now. But what happens with this setup is that Brentford have 6 players in that press. They could match United's press without the goalkeeper. But with the goalkeeper, they need to commit an extra man. So while they are pressing, Bruno Fernandes cleverly always look to just stroll around this midfield. He doesn't drop back with the rest. He tries to stroll around the midfield to receive the ball in space. And then once Fernandes is able to receive the ball here and turns, you would either have Mbeumo running on one side or have Dalo running on one side. Or sometimes even Shaw speeding up from one side. But basically, what United wants to do, though, is to try and get this 4-on-3 or 3-on-3 on this phase of the attack with a lot of space and then attack Brentford. It worked a lot in this game. Let me show you some clips. This was basically the first minute of the game. And it's that 6 people in the build-up. If you count the goalkeeper, 7 people in that United build-up. They are all there. And then Brentford, of course, in their 4-4-2 shape, you can see the 6 players in front. The goal, like I said, is to squeeze that midfield to make sure that United does not progress through the midfield. But at the same time, though, they want to be able to occupy these United's players. But what happens is that United are not in a hurry to actually play the ball forward. Instead, the goalkeeper throws the ball here. United are not looking to go long. But once Mbeumo is able to take the ball from here, you can see what I was saying just now, that Fernandes is now free in the middle of the pitch. He's behind that Brentford's midfield line. And then the reason is because Brentford do not want either of these centre backs to actually step up to meet him. And then, of course, that is the launch pad for United's attack. And then once the ball goes forward, they can have those 4 players running directly at Brentford's back line, which is the whole point of this Carey setup. Look at another example. Again, it's the same thing, United trying to go backwards. But one thing I want you to keep an eye on is this. And this is what made me actually observe that this is actually a tactical setup. Notice that United are in control of the ball here. Menu is facing backward. He's going backwards to drop Brentford players out. Look at Casemiro again. He was higher up the pitch than Fernandes. He's going backward to drop Brentford's midfielders in again. But you notice that Fernandes is the only one who is heading in the opposite direction. He is going behind that defensive line. And again, look at a defender who should have stuck with him. But instead, he's choosing to run backwards. He's going to make sure that Sesko has 2 people on him. And then what that means now is that Fernandes is free in the middle of the pitch again, behind that line. And then once this ball comes to him in midfield, he turns. And again, Ahmad is running in front of him. This is exactly the kind of attacking setup that United are looking for, to be able to run at that back line with a lot of space. But I think on this occasion, I don't know what Ahmad was thinking there. Just look at one more example of that again. It's the same setup, yeah, and then this makes it very obvious because on this occasion, United actually won the ball high up the pitch. They were almost in Brentford's half, but it congested. They chose not to attack. Instead, what happened was Mbeumo opted to pass the ball backwards first. They chose to take the ball all the way back to the goalkeeper. And then once the goalkeeper has the ball, he hesitates with the ball just for a little bit. And you can see everybody running backwards. But what you notice is that Mbeumo is not really in a hurry to go back. And then you can see Fernandes here is not in a hurry to get back into position again. But as usual, the goal here, the trap here is to bait Brentford forward. Now they've gone all the way back to the goalkeeper, trying to bait that press. And what you will notice is that both Menu and Casemiro, the 2 holding midfielders, are retreating backwards. But what you would not see here now, though, is that Fernandes is somewhere behind that line. He's not coming backwards with them. He's there. Even when Mbeumo has dropped, he didn't drop. And then that's Fernandes, able to receive the ball behind the line. And then with the hope that once he takes the ball here, he's able to turn. But on this occasion, though, the defender recovered quickly and made a tackle. But you get the whole gist. Then you can see Mbeumo running again, and then Ahmad running. this is the setup that United were consistently looking for in this game. And the goal that United eventually scored came from this particular setup, to being able to win the ball deep inside their own defensive half, and then Bruno able to receive the ball behind the line and then run straight at the defense. But United had a problem defensively in this game. The biggest problem for United in this game came from Lewis Potter down Brentford's left-hand side. Because the way Brentford looked to attack, their wingers, both their fullbacks were playing as wing-back. Both Lewis Potter and Kayode were almost playing as wing-back in this game. And when they attacked United very high, they stretched that United's back line. And it created a bit of problem. I'm not going to delve into it too much, but I'll just show you one clip to understand what I'm saying. There were a few times when this is Kayode very wide on the other side, and then this is Lewis Potter here. What usually happened was, because Brentford had one wide man, he has taken Dallo out wide again, and then just leaving a space there. And that's Lewis Potter making a run. Being able to split full back and centre back like this is usually a hard thing, especially when your opponent is playing very wide wing backs or very wide full backs. And then Lewis Potter could just run into that gap. Mbeumo didn't spot him at all. But I think on this occasion, though it was miscommunication between Mbeumo and not knowing who is picking up who, but Lewis Potter on that left-hand side was a big problem for United. Either he was stretching United's defense too wide and creating that opening, or Kevin Shada would go in feed and then draw Dallo towards the center of the 18-yard box, and then Shada is always out wide to receive. And I think that is why in the second half, Carrick decided to bring on Mazraoui and go into a back five to be able to stretch, to cover the width of that United defense. Carrick responded appropriately, and it was a good win for United. Well deserved, I would say. Champions League football secured for next season. If you enjoy tactical analysis, this is the page. Hit the like button, hit the follow button, hit the subscribe button. We will see you again.